Hello, this is Hannah with Hannah Crafted Gifts, and I have what I'm hoping will be a quick tutorial for you on what I'm calling a push-up card. I'm not actually sure what this fold is called. I learned this fold from my upline, Bethany Barnard, and I don't remember what she called it or what whoever called it that she learned it from. So if you know another name for this card, by all means, please put it in comments. But to me, push-up card just made sense. So let me show you the final product or project. So this is what it looks like closed, and it is still 4 1/4 from here to here by 5 1/2, so it can still fit inside a standard size envelope for us here in the US. You'll see that this uses the Yeti to Party stamp set, which was also a gift from my upline Bethany, which was a really fun stamp set. And it is in the current July, I almost said January, getting ahead of myself, July to December mini catalog, which is essentially the fall winter holiday catalog. But this stamp set can be used for more than just Christmas, even though it does have some Christmas sentiments, like, is it Christmas Yeti? Which, if you know me, you know I'm loving the puns. But it also has It's Your Birthday, which is the bottom half of another stamp that you'll see here as I do the push-up mechanism. Get Yeti to Party. So that is the push-up card. It ends up in a standing format that you can put on display, and it will stay pushed up like that. I'm just holding it together so you can see it. So you can see what we're making. I'm gonna show you how right now. So I've got all the pieces. I'm gonna go ahead and flip my camera and walk you through how I got them to where they are, and then we'll do the final assembly together, because that's the one tricky part. If you're just reading the directions, I find it's helpful to actually see it done. So give me a moment while I do some flipping here. See if I can remember how to do this. It's been a little while. Okay, I'm gonna cover the camera. So you can't see me, but hopefully you can still hear me. And I don't think that quite flipped it, so give me a second to do a little more playing. Okay, now you should be seeing my work surface. Let me see. Yes, okay, you are. This is not the best way of doing this, but again, it's been a little while since I've done this, so thanks for bearing with me. So now you should be able to see my trimmer. I'm gonna try to stay in view. Here's my card base. So I've got a standard size card base, 8 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's scored in half at 4 1/4, but it's also scored a few other places. So I'm gonna walk you through where I scored it. You can see before I did any, well, you can do your scoring, but before you fold on your score lines, at least, you want to do any stamping you're going to do. I stamped the 2 different size presents all over my base. So depending on what stamp set you're using, you could also use DSP strips on these 6 center scored line sections that we're about to create. You don't need to put anything. You notice I didn't like stamp all the way onto these last couple sections because those are going to disappear. You'll see that in a minute. But anyway, once you have it stamped, or again, if you're going to do DSP, you'd wait and do that after this part, but you're going to go ahead and score first at 3/4. So you'd move up your cutting blade if you have the same trimmer as me, and you would score. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again, but you'd score at 3/4, score at 2 1/8, 2 7/8. Again, 4 1/4, your normal halfway point, and I'm going to talk about how you cut this slit in a moment. Then you continue scoring the other side at 5 5/8, 6 3/8, which if you're using the Stampin' Up trimmer, hopefully this is still in view. This very edge where it goes from the dark gray to the light gray ruler again, in this kind of hinge point, that's your 6 3/8, and then finally 7 3/4. So it's a fully symmetrical card, and you end up with all these sections that then you would fold on. So you've got 1 2 3 fold lines on either side of your center fold line. So once you have those scored and folded, you can go ahead, and you can do this before you fold as well, but once you've scored, you want to go ahead and cut your slit. So for that, again, your score line, your center point of the card is 4 1/4. So what I do is I just go ever so slightly to the right-hand side of my 4 1/4 mark. So technically this would be 4 7/32. So I'm not going all the way to what would that be? I guess it would be a 16th mark, but which 16th mark would that be? I guess 7/16. No, not quite. Hang on, I gotta count. 1, 2, 3, 3/16. Wow, I was way off. So not quite to 3/16, but not quite to 1/4. It's in between, and that's why it's, again, you're at 4. So 4 and 7/32. So I would go ahead and take my cutting blade, put it right in the middle, and then I'm gonna cut up. Again, I've already done this, so I would cut up till I get to 7/8 coming down on this ruler on the right hand side, and then all the way down till I get to, I'm checking my notes to make sure I get this right for you. Where did it go? Oh, to 4 5/8. So 7/8 down to 4 5/8 down, so that it's also 7/8 in from that side, which is at 5 1/2. Then I would lift this up and move to just the other side of the 4 1/4. So again, this would be like 4 9/32. So not quite to 5/16, but also not right on the quarter. So 4 9/32, and do the same thing. Start in the middle, cut up to 7/8 and down to 4 5/8. And then you'll end up with a little strip in the middle here. So what you'll have to do is kind of use your finger to push up on that, kind of pull it up with your finger, and you can snip it in the middle with your snips. So pretending that strip is still there, I would just be pushing it up from this side, kind of get my snips under it, snip it in half. It doesn't have to be perfectly in half, but then you'd flip over and you'd bend it back towards the inside of your card on both sides, and you'd be able to take those little strips, and sorry I already did this, but you'd take those bent back strips and just snip them off. Take the bent back strip, snip it off, so you end up with this slit. That's about, I guess, 1/16 of an inch wide. That way you're gonna be able to have your mechanism sliding up easily without getting caught. So hopefully that was all in view and made sense. So now we're gonna assemble the card. So I'm gonna move my trimmer out of the way. So I've already folded on my score lines. I'm gonna go ahead and fold the card in half, decide which side I want to have be the front versus the back. For this card, I had a little lack of transfer of my stamp right here, so I'll probably make that the back just to hide that a little more. So with your card folded in half, opening top to bottom, you go ahead and open it up. You take your inner push-up piece. So this is a frame of the same color as your card base at 4 1/4 by 3 1/2. And then the basic white piece for your stamped imagery is going to be 4 by 3 1/4, so that you get that 1/8 of an inch border around. So you will put that through the slit and try to center it so that you've got just the same spacing on either side. You're going to have probably about 1/8 of an inch on either side. Go ahead and move it up higher than you need to, but you're going to fold up this bottom flap. So this is your 3/4 inch flap at the bottom. And then what I like to do is go ahead and at that point close my card. You're also going to fold up this 3/4 inch flap on the other side as well, and you can see now those match flush. So that's what your closed card is going to look like. And then I just like to check that I want to see, for instance, in this case, my flags, but not the top of the Yeti's head, because he's supposed to be kind of a surprise. So that's where I'm going to want it. But I'm going to move it back up now and add my glue. So I'm using just the multi-purpose liquid glue. And I'm going to put a little bit of that. I want to be careful not to get extra squeezing out, especially on a project like this, because you don't want it to get stuck closed. So I'm going to put a little bit of that where this panel is going to end up. And this panel can go as far as flush with the edge here. Again, I'm trying to center it on my slit. But before it dries, I'm going to close it and make sure that it's just hiding the Yeti. Again, depending on what design you're doing, you may want it to be all the way flush, or I guess a little higher up, but you want to be careful because, again, you want this overall height to still fit inside an envelope. So you still want it to be 4 1/4 at the most. So now I'm going to go ahead and add glue all the way across, including my stamped piece, but that's okay because you're not going to see that part. So we are going to lose his little toes. And again, with the top of the card folded, that first 3/4 inch flap, And you do want those ones burnished pretty well so you can get your bone folder out. You're gonna fold that over and glue it closed. I'm just rubbing to let that glue set in before I try the mechanism. And you do want to try it quick so that way if you did get any glue squeezing out, you can rub that away before it gets your project stuck and tears the paper to pull it apart. So that's the mechanism. That's as easy as it is. I always find things like pop-up mechanisms magic to behold, and I cannot in my own mind figure out how they're done, but then when I see them done, it's like, that's all it is. Although I still don't understand it, but it's so simple and yet so special. So now we just have to add our sentiment. So I've gone ahead and already stamped my banner, which just needs to be as big as your sentiment is. I do like it being, it's hard to tell with the presents I put on, but the banner itself is the exact same width as the white piece on my push-up piece. So that's 3 1/4, and then it's a 1/2 inch wide. And so that just fits really nicely centered so that it's lining up with the white piece and it's centered in this section. So to that first score line from the fold. I've put dimensionals on the back, so I'm gonna take those little papers off. And I've got the presents as my kind of embellishments, my paper embellishments. I stamped those and fussy cut them out. Little hint, you might not have to fussy cut for long if you have this stamp set. More to come on that soon. Make sure you check out my Newsday Tuesday broadcast in September. The first Tuesday of September, I will share more about that and some other new things that are coming. But yeah, I just fussy cut those out pretty simply to do, and then pop those up on dimensionals as well. And using the rule of 3s, so you've got 3 you see from the outside, and then you still have an odd number when you see the ones that the Yeti's holding on the inside. And I chose the Mango Melody and the Coastal Cabana partly because I was never finding a reason to use my Mango Melody cardstock. And blue and orange are opposite, so they really pop with one another. And I thought that was good for a gender neutral birthday card. So this could be for traditionally masculine or traditionally feminine. I feel like this could be for kids for sure, but also the young at heart, whatever age you are celebrating. So I hope that all made sense and that you enjoyed seeing that. I'm gonna try to flip the camera one more time to come back on. So give me a moment to do that. Hopefully it will be worth the wait. I'm realizing maybe I should have showed you the finished card once I had done the camera flip. Otherwise it's just gonna be me saying goodbye awkwardly close. Let me move that back. You can see my husband's desk behind me. So that's the push-up card, as I'm calling it. Again, thanks to Bethany Barnard for sharing that fold with me and for gifting me this stamp set. I designed this card with any birthday in mind, and I'm going to be sharing it with some fellow demonstrators in a swap tomorrow. So I'll be posting this afterwards so that they'll know how to make it, and wanted you to, whoever you are, wherever you're watching from, whyever you're watching, to know how to make it too. So thank you for watching. Please like this video if you did, comment and I'll reply. If you have questions certainly about the instructions, let me know and I'm happy to clarify further. You can also see some of those, at least the supplies and the preparation to make this project, printed out or typed up in the comment section or the description of this video, depending on if you're watching it on YouTube or from my blog. And what else? Oh, if you can share and subscribe, that's the most helpful thing you can do. But however you choose to support me, just even being here today, thank you so much. And as always, happy crafting.